on, what is today, July 13th, 2026. Will the treasurer please call the roll?
Mrs. Apathy.
Here.
Ms. Majeska.
Here.
Mrs. Decker.
Here.
Mr. Souchaki.
Here, 4 present, 1 absent. On behalf of the board, as soon as I can get my mouse to work, there we go. On behalf of the board, I would like to welcome all students, staff, and parents and interested community members to tonight's Board of Education meeting. The board values and encourages public comment on education issues. Anyone having an interest in the actions of the board may participate during the public comments portion of the meeting. A copy of the board meeting agenda is available for review on the website, and please silence cell phones during the meeting. At this point, please rise for the pledge. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'll entertain a motion for the approval of the agenda, please.
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Decker,
Second.
second by Mrs. Apathy. Is there any discussion?
I have amendments to make.
Okay,
Item number 1, I'd like to remove item 9, 9A from the agenda. That's for a bus driver. That person took a job in another school district, so we will not obviously be voting on that tonight.
right.
So I'd like to remove that. And then for the consent agenda overall, I'd like to split it into 2 pieces. I'd like to have 8A and B as its own separate consent component. That's the in lieu of transportation piece that would allow us to vote on it without there being any conflict of interest. And then the rest of the consent agenda would be open for everybody to vote,
Okay,
if that works for everybody.
that's fine. Thank you. Any other items? Hearing none, treasurer, please call the roll on the amended agenda.
Mrs. Decker.
Aye.
Mrs. Apathy.
Aye.
Ms. Majeska.
Aye.
Mr. Souchaki.
Aye, motion passes 4-0. Moving on to comments from the public, we have no one here, so we'll move right into treasurer's business.
Mr. President, I ask for items 4A, 5A, through 5E for approval tonight in the consent agenda.
Okay, I entertain a motion for those items, please.
So moved.
Okay, Mrs. Apathy?
Second.
And the second, Ms. Majeska. And we'll turn it over to the treasurer, who at the moment has a little bit of housekeeping to do.
So we look at item 5A. So these are purchase orders over 5,000. And we open our lead sheet. So first one is going to be for GPD Group. That is 10,900 coming from our general fund. That's for elementary school accessible playground study. So that's essentially the kickoff of beginning the playground planning process over at the elementary school. The second one is PSI affiliates. It's 126,500. George, did you want to highlight anything on that one?
This is we're near 3-year agreement that we modified last February to include the ERS pickup for school nurses and school health aid. So it's just continuing.
Okay. Third one is going to be George Grissom Masonry. That's to repair the Archway Bridge. We had called Mr. Souchaki to get pre-approval back on the 6th, July 6th, to move ahead, and insurance will reimburse on this, plus our deductible, which will go after their company for it. And that costs $27,325 for that repair. Number 4 is CPDVS, that's Pay Schools, recommended by Mr. Hartman, $7,720.35 from general fund, it's a renewal. Number 5 is Paladin Protective Systems, that's our annual fire system inspections for fiscal 27 blanket, the amount of $7,542 from general fund. Number 6 is Waste Management of Ohio, that's our trash pickup, blanket PO, fiscal 27, general fund, $6,657.24. Number 7 is Xander Blosser. That's our elementary school instructional supplies, $6,450 from general fund. Number 8 is for the elevator service, blanket PO, the amount of $6,385.25
Yes, this will be a purchase for the new Chromebooks for 4th and 5th grade as we are going down to Chromebook carts for those grades, as well as 2 Clever Touches for the upgraded rooms in the special ed area of the elementary. So it's going to be going towards room upgrades and updating our Chromebook policy, or our Chromebook deployment.
And that's $9,438 change from our permanent improvement fund, total 3. The last one is number 10, Jackson Comfort Systems. That's to repair the elementary school chiller. I have a note there that just kind of refers back to last fiscal year. There was a bit of a mix-up on that one. That only paying one time and only fixing one time, so that cost us $15,277 change. Any questions? Okay. 5B, so this is our annual agreement that we've done with the Auditor of State's Office, their local government services department, to compile our annual financial statements. That cost, it's called the GAAP conversion, GAAP, Generally Accepted Accounting Principles. Essentially, every entity has to convert from cash basis to GAAP basis. The cost of that is $13,440, but we're only charged for the hours that we use. Typically, we go under that amount. So unless there's a new GASB or GAAP pronouncement that's out there, which usually has been coming every year for like a new requirement that we have. So, but the Auditor of State's Office does a great job with that, and it makes it a seamless transition when they come into audit as well. So that's that agreement. 5C. Actually, one funny note too. So with 5B, so right now, we're closing the fiscal year. This gap takes place last fiscal year, fiscal 26. Then we're going to be working in fiscal 27. Then I'm going to be doing the forecast, which is fiscal 28 and beyond. So I'm kind of getting mixed up with everything. So if somebody comes in and asks me what the date is, I don't know. Feeling too much? So 5C, we have our return of advances. So we board approved these advances initially June 22nd, and we sent them from the general fund over to those 2 grant funds, the 584 Title IV and the 516 IDEA Fund. Now all we're doing is getting them back. So if I'm general fund and Matt Young's the grant funds, I throw him the football, close the fiscal year, and he throws me the football back. So we're not out any money, it's just for presentation purposes, to show that those grant funds aren't ending the fiscal year in negative. That's all it's doing. So we're just returning that back to the general fund, $5,000 from our Title IV and $80,000 from our IDEA. 5D is going to be an MOU between Chase and the Board of Education. And I have some context in the executive content. We had a similar request that was board approved back in October of 2025. And I have that email up here on the screen if you were to click on that. This kind of just highlights the reason for the request that we have there. So this is just an advancement of funds, and then the employee would pay back that advancement similar to how it was done back in October of 25, over however many days. The last item is a then and now, just for the elementary school chillers that we talked about earlier. And those are the items I have for approval.
Okay, any questions or further discussion? Hearing none, treasurer, please call the roll.
Mrs. Appleton?
Aye.
Ms. Majewski?
Aye.
Mrs. Decker?
Aye.
Mr. Souchaki?
Aye, motion passes 4-0. Moving on to section 7, treasurer discussion and comments.
Just a couple items for discussion. So I'm happy to announce that, once again, we received the Auditor of State Award for our clean audit for fiscal 25. This is great news for our district. And that once again. We have on here the press release that was last week, July 7th, from the Auditor of State's office, highlighted our school right there, and talks about the requirements for obtaining. Did reach out to the Auditor of State's office, and we're going to have their Northeast Ohio Regional Liaison, Tina Ludwig, come out to the district at our next board meeting on July 27th to present our district the award. We'll take a picture out there too, so it'll be awesome. Just want to say that this is all the hard work of everybody here as a team. So Kathy Alexa. They've done a tremendous job the whole year, as well as the administration, Board of Education. All staff members contribute to this, so this is a joint team effort for the award, and I couldn't be more proud of our district. So it's great to be recognized.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, well done.
7B, fiscal year end. So we closed fiscal year 2026 last week, the week of July 6th. I would like to thank Kathy Martin, Assistant Treasurer, and Vanessa Rodriguez, HR and Payroll Specialist, for all their great work on another successful fiscal year close. We will review fiscal year 2026 numbers during our July 27th board meeting. So I'll have all those prepared. We'll just go through each one of those. We'll spend quite a bit of time, not too much time, but a good amount, just highlighting all those aspects. So we'll look at not only the general fund, but the permanent improvement fund, the food service fund, our grant funds, athletics. So we'll go through and talk about everything. But we did have a favorable year that we closed out. Mr. Young and myself spoke about that last week. So we're excited to highlight that at our next board meeting.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
And 7C is the financial forecast. So this was the 5-year forecast, and then they changed the name to the financial forecast and modified not all 5 years, but less than that now. It's due August 31st, so the plan would be to review the forecast during our first August Board of Education meeting, which is August 10th, and to approve it at our second August Board of Education meeting, which is later on. That's all I have for tonight.
Okay, very good. Any other questions for the treasurer while we're here? And then moving on to the superintendent's business.
All right, so the first consent agenda that we will look at are items 8A and B to vote on.
Okay. So accept a motion for the items 8A and B.
So moved. Second?
One of you two, whoever came in first. I didn't-
Carolyn first. I'm second, yeah.
Okay, Amanda was first. Okay, I said Amanda, I didn't mean that, I
Okay.
apologize. So do we have any discussion on these two items?
So
Do you
these
wanna
are
go
related
first?
to the district's requirement to provide transportation to students who attend non-public school districts. If so impractical, they have to have a declaration and a resolution stating that it's impractical. Reasons for impracticality can be because it creates a greater financial burden for the school district than paying the parents in lieu of payment. The state has a minimum cost for the in lieu of transportation payment. We have approximately 19, I believe it's 19. It's under 20 this year, students who have, their parents have applied for the in lieu of transportation cost. And these resolutions allow us to do that, to pay those payments. Otherwise, we would have to, potentially transport to 5 to 6 different school districts, non-public school districts, potentially hire another driver to do that, likely to hire another driver to do that. And because of the small number, it creates some challenges because you have to get the students to school on time and when they're all starting at a relatively the same time. It makes it very challenging to fulfill those state requirements. So we have traditionally done the transportation in lieu of costs, and that's what this recommendation is. As well as the contracts then that goes with that ensures that we will pay those families the state minimum level.
Okay. All right, any further discussion on items 8A and B? Hearing none, treasurer, please call the roll.
Ms. Pajeska?
Aye.
Mrs. Decker?
Aye.
Mrs. Apathy?
I abstain.
Mr. Souchaki?
Aye, motion passes 3-0 with one abstention.
Okay. All right, the remainder of the items for consent agenda consideration, we have 8, C, D, and E. Item 9B, again, I've removed item 9A. 10A, 11A through K.
Okay, I entertain a motion for those items, please.
So moved.
Moved by Mrs. Apathy, I'll get it right this time.
I'll second.
Okay, all right, Ms. Decker has seconded. Okay.
Okay, so 8C, this is a request, and it's a one-time request that Mr. Burek be paid out for an additional 5 of his vacation days that are in his contract. This is largely due to the 2 approved administrative FMLAs, of which Mr. Burek had to do coverage over times like spring break and winter break and Thanksgiving break, as opposed to taking vacation days. It's a one-time request for him as a result of the administrative circumstances. Myself and Mrs. Scotton having some FMLA time this year. The last time we did this was during COVID, when we actually increased the carryover as opposed to the payout, but it allowed people to use more vacation time the next year. So that's what that item is. Again, it's a one-time thing. I do thank Mr. Burek for covering for Mrs. Scotton specifically while she was out approximately 5 months. We did not hire a substitute administrator during that time. Substitute administrators can be between $400 and $500 a day. And so, I do appreciate, you've done the job before, but your responsibilities are a lot greater now. And I felt like this was an appropriate ask because he has put in the time. So 8D, all right. So 8D and E, these are to amend 2 prior board actions, one that closes out fiscal year 26 and one that is for fiscal year 27 with respect to student supervision. We had put, and I don't know why when we passed this, we put the end dates as May 29th. Well, the school didn't end on May 29th. For the 25-26 school year, it ended on June 5th. And for this coming school year, it ends on June 3rd. And what this does is it allows teachers to be paid for any detention time that they're covering, Saturday school during that time, and then morning and after school supervision. So right now we can't pay people for the last week of this past school year because the amendment that we passed, the original motion was from May 29th. So we're just adjusting those dates. There's nothing else attached to it other than just shifting the date so that we can close out last school year and properly do next school year with respect to student supervision. 9B, this is a recommendation to hire a driver. Myron Newell would be at step 1. It's always nice when you can bring somebody in, and we're going to train Mr. Newell. He will be able to drive a van almost immediately, but we will work to get his CDL. It's a pretty common practice anymore that you have to train your own people to get the CDLs. There's such competition for those drivers. So, Mr. Burek, Mr. Newell's been working for like a medical company.
Oxygen transport.
Yeah, Oxygen Transport.
He's worked for RTA, he's done transits, he's done
Yeah.
waste management stuff, so he has a CDL just to get.
It's just not a bus driver CDL, so it should be a pretty quick turnaround.
Good find.
Yeah, but immediately we'll have somebody who could at least help us drive a van, which is important. 10A, this is updating supplemental contracts for next school year. We have 3 assistant volleyball coaches and a class advisor that are included on that particular list. You'll see that one position is for a full position, and then you have 2 individuals that are going to split a position. So you're getting 3 people for the price of 2 with that recommendation. And then Mrs. Ogden will be the sophomore class advisor. 11A, this is a rental agreement with Rose Sarks Productions, LLC. We've become a pretty popular place to film movies, either at Tri-C or on a much greater scale. The Cleveland Film Commission has identified, our facility as one that just has that look and the feel and nice people to work with. And so this week, this group is going to come in, and they're coming in from California, actually, to film a movie about a school resource officer who was actually involved in a school incident, and they're going to reenact that school incident here in the building. So, there will be all the things that go with all that. People, panicking, running. There'll be prop weapons. So, prop weapons meaning they do have no ability to be fired. It's like having a wooden gun. But I've talked to Chief Sturgill about that. We're going to have at least an officer on duty when they're filming the one scene where there's a cop car out front and they're running into the school and things like that. But it looks like it's going to be a really meaningful type of documentary, and I hope to see these movies when they're done, because I'd like to say I know exactly where that hallway is. I know where that locker is. Yeah, that's my office. So, but they will be paying a rental fee of $50 an hour for every hour that they're here over the 3-day period. So, one of the things we may want to look at is just our rental agreement overall, whether we need to increase our fees a little bit. I mean, $50 an hour covers custodial cost, but if we want to increase those a little bit more, we don't want to price ourselves out for other activities, but it's something worth looking at. But I've included the signed agreement as well as their certificate of insurance, so that they're covered. Letter B, annual dues for participation in the Coalition of Equity and Adequacy for School Funding. This is the lawsuit that over 300 school districts in Ohio has been part of. It's $2 per student for a total cost of $1,458. If you want to continue with that, if at any point you want to, I mean, we could, if you don't want to be part of it, we don't have to be part of it. But they give nice updates every day. I include those in my weekly updates, and it's why we are where we are with the lawsuit. So it's just something to consider on a year-to-year basis. Letter C, I'm glad to see Mr. Hartman made this recommendation. This was something that we paid for back when I was principal of the school. When you show any movie in a school district, if you have not purchased it from an educational company and paid the rights to show that movie, you've read all the disclaimers at the beginning of movies. $100,000 fines, $250,000 fines. Well, that is expanded now with the ability to stream on almost any device now. What this does, this is a site license that allows us to be covered. So if PTO wanted to have an evening where they showed a movie in the gymnasium as a reward or a family night or something like that, this allows us to do that, because technically in the past, without an agreement, you've left yourself uncovered. This allows us to be covered. And like I said, for the 3 years I was principal here, we had an agreement that covered that, just in case, for $2,250, it's much better than a $250,000 fine. And you had mentioned it's come up in your IT coordinator and director discussions, and they brought up an example of somebody maybe in California that got a pretty...
Yeah, there's a school in California that got a $20,000 fine for showing a movie. So it's one of those, just better to be safer than sorry, and it'll enable a lot more. We blocked a bunch of the streaming sites for staff, so this will let them go back to showing the same things, and it'll all be approved by the administrators before they even get to view it. So it's all curriculum and cohesive.
It's a nice little bit of insurance policy. Letter D, this is an agreement with Monarch School to provide special education services for one of our students. Cost of $98,026.20. I do believe that student is going to be is in their last year potentially of education unless something changes with the student's IEP.
One of the things to point out about this significance, about 8 years ago, we had 8 or 9 students around the same amount yearly, and our teachers and the staff did a great job meeting kids where they're at and putting them in place to support students within the district. Mr. Evans brought back 2 teachers to kind of work with more significant community students, and it allowed us to kind of keep kids in the district where previously the approach was to outplace a lot of students, and this student was already out. We didn't force any students to come back to the district. Some schools say, we have it now, you need to come back, but we recognize that the family and child built relationships and had good experiences, and so we haven't disrupted their learning environment over the course of that time. But, the project partnership with these groups to provide the service, and there still could always be a need for something like that. So that's one of the things that we're always to be aware of. IT needs of the student. This could be something that becomes a discussion, it's a team decision, and we always try to do what we can in district first, prior
Okay, letter E, this is an agreement with the ESC of Northeast Ohio for audiology and hearing impaired services that would fulfill the requirements and needs of students with IEPs under that area, not to exceed $11,000. A similar agreement with the ESC of Northeast Ohio is letter F. This is for visually impaired services for those students to require it not to exceed $2,250. Letter G, this is a consultation service for our E-rate services. Again, E-rate's the federal funds that you can use for technology based on the number of students labeled as economically disadvantaged. I know there's been some talk about the federal government eliminating this program. Mr. Hartman, the most recent major use of the E-rate funds was with our servers that
Yeah,
we did a
so-
couple years ago.
This year's E-rate was used to do battery backups for all of our equipment in our server room, as well as all the various closets around the district. With that, we now have about 45 minutes of just continuous internet camera access in the district. So long as Neonet doesn't lose power, we'll be good. But yeah, we get about 45 minutes now, whereas before we had maybe 10 minutes to make sure everything was up. Usually that'll last about any power outage we'll experience.
Yeah, I can't recall what the server project 2 years ago, do you remember how much we got in E-rate funds?
For the Wi-Fi.
Over $100,000.
Yeah, we did all of the network for the district. We replaced every access point and every switch in the district, and that was about $150,000, and half of that was recuperated via E-rate.
Yeah, and Jack Reinestra is the consultant who will work with Matt to ensure that all of our paperwork is filed properly and timely, and that we're following all the requirements of the federal funding process. So this is only a one-year contract with him. The contract is $2,000. That's up from $1,200. We had a 3-year contract with him, so we had 3 years at $1,200. He's just writing the market at this point. Still a tremendous low fee for his consultation services, considering what we get from him. Letter H, this is the recommendation for us to enter into the consortium for English learners using our Title III funds for fiscal year 27 to pull it together with the consortium formed by the ESC of Northeast Ohio. We do not receive enough funding. You have to exceed a $10,000 threshold, and we receive under $1,000 annually. So we're required to join a consortium in order to have access to the Title III funds. So this is something we've done annually. I think next year we only have 3 students who qualify as EL students. Some school districts, it's pushing like 30-40% in certain parts of the state. So it's required for us to do this if we're going to have an opportunity to use any of those funds. Letter I, this is an agreement with PSI, separate from what Mr. Muccio had brought up with our school nursing and student health assistant services. This is additional school psychologist services. April Gregan is our primary school psychologist, but because of the number of students with disabilities who have to be tested, not just in our district, but also students that are in our district and are outplaced, we have to do that.
This is actually primarily what this works with
Yep.
is, we have New Story School,
Yep.
Independence, which is located in Brooklyn Heights. Always causes confusion, but it's a non-public school within our district, so we have to do reevaluations for any students who goes to school there that come from surrounding communities. So that's a big challenge sometimes because when we have our kids, we pretty much know when their three-year reevaluation is going to happen, or if there's something kind of developing with the student. These are kind of like, they call you up and say, hey, we need an evaluation done in the next 24 hours. So that becomes a challenge with our staff. And we do a lot of the work with our current SLPs and other service providers to do the testing for them. This is to make sure that we're available for it to be done when we need done to meet the public needs.
Letter J, this is agreement with CMP Communications for our district communication services. So we have consulted with Charlene Paparizos for the last 5 years. Charlene's communication company was housed under the ESC of Northeast Ohio, so they were the fiscal agent. So we would pay the ESC of Northeast Ohio, and then they would pay Charlene. And many districts utilize those services. With some of the financial cuts that occurred at the ESC of Northeast Ohio because of some interesting record keeping and overspending, they cut some of their programs. They cut personnel in some of their programs, and so they're no longer the fiscal agent for CMP Communications. I feel like they've done an excellent job with our communications. Here's an example. This has come out as quarterly. This is a huge upgrade from what we were doing before they were part of our communication services. You see our social media presence, our newsletters, as well as many, many other things that they help us with. The not to exceed of $45,000 is exactly the same cost as it has been, so it's not going to go over that amount. And we have not hit $45,000 yet in each of the 5 years that we've worked with Charlene and her group. So the recommendation is to continue with this group. I think you'd have a tough time finding services at that cost, especially for what we ask them to do. And then letter K, this is an agreement with NIAX LLC. This is related to our vending machines. So we need a company that handles any electronic payments. So for example, if you were to come to a home sporting event and you want to pay on your device, or you want to pay the $10 with a credit card, you have to go to Hometown Ticketing and then you have to pay for it. Well, there's a company, Hometown Ticketing, handles that transaction to ensure that it goes from the credit card and then eventually to the school, and there's a little bit of a fee that Hometown Ticketing gets. This is the same thing for our vending machines. You can still put in dollars and coins and get something out of the vending machine, or you can double click your phone, up comes your credit card, you hit the card reader, and a financial transaction happens. NIAX handles that transaction between going from the credit card and then paying the school district for the cost of the, and it's a total of $9.99 per month. So it's $120 for the year is all that is. And that's it. Those are all the items.
Okay, any questions or discussion? Superintendent?
I had one question on the PSI
Yep.
and the psychologist. I know we have to provide the services for the other school that's in our
Mhm.
district. We can't can we charge them for it?
We cannot.
Cannot
It's
charge them?
one-
Okay.
It's one of those
Unfunded mandates.
that
Okay.
the state throws on school districts. We're fortunate we only have one non-public in our district. Some school districts have 10 plus. So it's one of those things that I don't think that local taxpayers are necessarily aware of.
Mhm.
That happens for us responsibility-wise, where the burden put on us both with timelines and cost. And cost is one thing, but just the
Time.
the expense on your staffing, pulling away from the students who are in our district is the biggest challenge. And so, a lot of times, those meetings are done by Zoom, so a little bit different than we would hold our meetings. They're getting the basic requirement of the law, and we always do a better job of getting more in the basic care, for our students. But they do get a good process, and it's done the right way, but it's just, again, it's frustrating, definitely frustrating to deal with.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure we couldn't push the hourly rate onto,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's a service those children need. How the money gets moved around has been a topic of debate for a long time. There are a lot of hidden things that the community doesn't know about that public schools are paying for.
Okay.
That's a good question. And I know we need to make sure that PSI is paying the SERS benefit for that person too, and that $84 an hour includes that. Okay.
It's a lower hourly rate than what our school psychologists do. So it's a favorable rate for us to do.
Yeah. Okay.
And I'd like to comment briefly on item 8C and personally thank Mr. Burek for stepping up yet again. I can remember about 10 years ago when we
Yeah.
had issues in the superintendent's office. And I know you were one of the key people who stood up back then to keep us going. And I'd like to comment again and express my appreciation for the extra work that you do for our district. It certainly is invaluable. So, thank you.
Enjoy doing it.
Good.
But I think it speaks to the type of people that are on our team.
Yes.
And the not just the people, but how well the people work together. You get that synergistic effect. I don't know many other places that you could, operate, without your assistant principal, and still be able to pick up and almost not miss a beat. Now, you can't do it forever.
Right.
But, and that's, we see that in the treasurer's office all the time, where people are working really well together, and you see the results that come from it. I'm looking forward to your financial forecast in August. I think you're going to be happy with where we are, and we can talk about how we
Good.
got there. So thanks for that acknowledgement, Mr. Burek.
Good, thank you. Any other comments? Hearing none, treasurer, please call the roll.
Mrs. Apple.
Aye.
Mrs. Decker.
Aye.
Ms. Majewski.
Aye.
Mr. Souchaki.
Aye, motion passes 4-0. On to section 13, superintendent's discussion and comments.
Yeah, just a few things. Mr. Burek, I'll go back to you. Do you want to give an update on where we are with some of our major projects this summer?
So the most significant thing we're doing in the summer is the roofing project, and there's been some challenges throughout. We've been working with companies and subcontractors on working through issues, and we've gotten all the stone off the roof, and we're starting to lay the next foundation of the roofing project. So we're about 2 weeks behind schedule, some weather, and then some logistics issues with them being able to get the machinery to do the job. It would have been easier. Didn't work out for them. So we're hoping to do the elementary school hopefully after this week. Archway, if you drove up today, you noticed that the bricks are back.
Mhm.
We still have the scaffolding supporting it right now, and by the end of the week, that should be down. And it's important to get that done, so we appreciate Mr. Souchaki approving that early on, because
We have to get roofing materials
we
back
get
there.
roofing materials behind the school,
Mhm.
so we can do that until we have the archway done, and hopefully we are able to get through there without causing any additional or new damage. The goal is the goal. Mr. Zabol and I talked about when we're going over there, we want to have one of us present, so
Yeah.
we make sure that everything's safe, to go and do that again.
Yeah, because we've had some mishaps with the roofing project. You want to talk about those?
Yeah, so, we have some damaged concrete in front of the building, that occurred when they had to, bring machinery to the front of the school, so, we're gonna get a lot of new, concrete from, the contractor, so they've been great working with us. Obviously, we would prefer there not to be any damage, but there's damage to that, there's some irrigation damage that's being checked out, so we get that repaired as well. And the most significant, damage was, we ran into a school bus when they were dumping the stone.
The stone from the,
So, we got an estimate of like $16,000 for damage, so,
Mm.
they flew people out from Alabama to come meet with Mr. Zabol and myself, last week, so they've taken it seriously, they've apologized, they know they could do better, they fired their whole crew and brought in a new superintendent and new crew to finish the work, so, it's obviously, you start getting nervous as we get closer to school to get all the other things that weren't planned for done, but, again, there's some new concrete out of it, and, refurbished school bus, in the process. Stadium lights have been installed back at the stadium, so, that project is done and go on and off really quickly, it's pretty cool. Put them on and off, and it's instant, That's nice, you don't do anything fancy for light shows, but if you want to sit there and click back and forth real fast, you can do that.
Strobe
And
lighting.
intentionally, not like, oops, what's
And
going on?
Scoreboard is being delivered, Wednesday next week, and, should be installed, I think on the 21st, I think is the goal right now for that, so that's coming along as well.
it's being delivered this week. It's going to be installed next
This
week.
Wednesday?
Yeah, it's coming this week. Installed next week.
So that was, I think we shipped before the 4th, and a lot
Yep.
of people, still, so, all those things are moving along, and, summer maintenance crews and custodians and moving along, cleaning up, the buildings and getting ready to move over to elementary buildings, start cleaning up over there, so, it's been nice having more work yet, it looks a lot better.
Well, the gutters finally got installed. If you drive along East 71st Street and you look over at the pillars, you will see gutters along the side. You can't really even notice them. They blend in so well. But remember, before, the rainwater would come off the roof or snow would melt, and it would be diverted into the building before being diverted back out of the building.
Very strange design, I don't know why, so we come in before it went out, you know, so it
Yeah.
definitely came in, so we had.
Yeah, it definitely came in and,
Water
yeah.
seems to prove it, so we haven't seen any new water flooding out this, but with all the rain we've gotten in the last,
Right.
couple weeks, so that's been good news, so then we're cleaning things up in there, and we're gonna be doing, the floor finishing in August for both floors, so, much cleaner place, and just continuing, improvements in there, you know, there's a big, at some point, we're going to have to address the whole ceiling in that north gym, but right now, it's better than it was, so it's in the right direction.
Okay, good.
Yeah, thanks for that update.
And also communicated to the board that the AP
Scores came out this week. And I think it's important to talk about that because the board has supported for almost 2 decades the, essentially covering the fees or the cost of the AP exams for students. And we have seen, you know, the AP program grow over the years. When I came here back in 2015, we administered 96 tests. Last 2023, we had, actually 2022, we had our all-time high of 194 tests. We're at 169 tests this year. I think I calculated, we had 18 different students who received 5. We had over 40 students get a 4 or a 5. Our average score was a 3.68. Our highest before that, I believe, was 3.40, which was last year, so we've trended upward. We had 86.4% get a 3 or higher in Ohio. If you go to a school in Ohio, a 3 or higher is going to get you some form of college credit. So, you know, I'd love to see this because it's showing that, you know, we're still able to offer programming for our students who are highly motivated or talented in academics that go that particular route, but we also balance that with the Career Center, and, you know, we had a Student of the Year 2 years in a row at the Career Center, as well as, you know, opportunities for every student, wherever they fall, you know, on that spectrum of academic opportunities, including all the activities, you know, that these students are participating in. A lot of these students are highly involved in multiple activities throughout the year. So, you know, I want to congratulate them. I want to congratulate the teachers who support them. I want to thank the Board of Education for supporting our AP program. Certainly want to thank the families for continuing to, you know, support the school and support their sons and daughters. I taught AP for 15 years. I know how rigorous it can be for those students and their families. So it's something to be proud of, and I was really glad to see that. We'll find out who our AP scholars are within the next month. They don't tell you which kids actually got some type of national recognition, but we will have a number of those students coming up, so I'm looking forward to that. And the last thing, I was curious, the degree of information the board would like about what the BEST committee did the past year and the new format of the BEST strategic plan that we've constructed. Do you just want to simply see a presentation that you can view yourself? Do you want a formal presentation? I know you would probably like to see the 2-page document that we've shrunk it down to that was on your suggestion, Carolyn. I really appreciated that feedback, and I got feedback from BEST committee members before we tightened that up. I've worked with Charlene's group to come up with a nice 2-pager that's actionable, meaningful, and helps drive what we'll do on our administrative team. So, you know, I can certainly do a presentation at the next board meeting. I'd like to get that done so that we can, you know, take the next step for what that plan looks like. I want it to be something that's actionable and viable. It's been an important part of this district as it, you know, the BEST committee, you know, coming out of, you know, the embezzlement many years ago now, continues to be something that can be our North Star. And I think it's important that we continue with that. So I'm just curious what degree of information you would like and in what format.
I'd like a short presentation, if you don't mind.
I can do that.
Yeah. With the two-page handout for us to.
Yeah.
I think you're gonna like the two-page handout because the original document is I'll compare and contrast it. It was too specific to things that may or may not even be relevant anymore. Like when it mentions the Chieftain. Well, the Chieftain was a great newspaper at one time, but we haven't had a newspaper here in more than a decade. It's just not something, a student newspaper, I should say. It's not something that is feasible with the size of our school anymore. It takes too much time, too much demand. And we don't have 1,000 students back when it was at its peak. You might have even worked on it at one time, didn't you? Yeah, okay, yeah. But, things like that. So it's going to be a little bit more general and broader, but yet very actionable, where we as an administrative team can use it as again, our guide or our North Star, but it also can be meaningful for those parts that are relevant for the teaching staff or the support staff or for students or for the community. So we really tried to make it something that is meaningful, not a 300-page bound, folder of a plan that looks really good and you spend a lot of money on and you just go in and check boxes. It's actually something I think that can drive conversations and decisions, and that's been the goal of it. So I can certainly do a presentation at the next meeting.
Okay, good.
Okay. All right. That's all I have.
Okay. Moving from superintendent discussion to board business and discussions. Do we have any board committee? I know we don't have any committees. Do we have any board anybody want to bring anything up? No? Okay.
Have anything?
Yeah, Career Center, they don't even have a board meeting in July, so it's quiet. Although there is a convention, ACTE convention, coming up week after next. I'll be going to in Columbus, the Career and Technical Education Convention, similar to the one in November that we usually go to, the OSBA. So much, much, much smaller, however. So, that's the only comments that I have. Future agenda items, anyone? Okay. It should be noted, Board of Education members received their agendas several days prior to the actual meeting and have had time to study and ask questions and so on. Upcoming meetings, Monday, July 27th, Monday, August 10th, which is a work session, and Monday, August 26th, which is a regular meeting, and we'll be right back into school.
I think that's August 24th.
What's that?
I think it's August 24th,
Oh,
just
it's August
Thursday.
24th,
Yeah.
that's the wrong, yeah, it would be, looking at the
Yeah.
10th above it.
That's where I looked at those dates. I don't know how to. So that date, August 26th, is wrong?
Mhm.
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna fix it right now.
Okay,
That way, and once you refresh, it'll.
all right, do we have any other items to come before the board tonight? Hearing none, I have a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Oh, Ms. Apathy, right on cue there.
Second.
And second for Ms. Vajeska. Treasurer, please call the roll.
Mrs. Apple?
Aye.
Ms. Majeska?
Aye.
Mrs. Becker?
Aye.
Mr. Suchek?
Aye, motion passes 4-0. It is